test our APIs. So for that we have a API testing tool. So to do the testing, we will use API testing tabs which are provided respective requests or collections workbench. So build and run tests directly in Postman or as part of your CI/CD pipeline, either through Newman or you can or you can run it locally manually. So Postman can be used to write functional tests, integration tests, regression tests, and more and more. So Postman's Node.js based runtime contains support for the common patterns and libraries that you can use to build tests quickly. So writing tests confirm that your API is working as expected, that integrations between services are functioning reliably, and that any changes haven't broken existing functionality. You can write test scripts for your Postman API requests in JavaScript. You can also use test code to aid the debugging process when something goes wrong with your API project. For example, you might write a test to validate your API's error handling by sending a request with incomplete data or wrong parameters. So let's write one or two scripts for request as well as collection, and we will test it and see what's going to happen. So tests confirm that your API is working as expected, that integrations between services are functioning reliably. That's the main aspect. And then, so what we are going to do, we'll add a test to the gRPC request. Then we'll write few more test scripts and we'll validate the responses, and we'll format the test result messages with the pm.expect object. Then we'll use some snippets and we'll apply this test to collections as well as folders. So let's begin. Let's add our first test. So let me take, yeah, let me take the collections first. Universe Earth. So click. Yeah, that's okay. It's going on. So now we will take this. So you can add tests to the individual requests, collections, and folders in a collection. So Postman includes code snippets you add and then change to suit your test logic. To add tests to a request, open the request and enter your code in the tests tab. So this is what I'm going to use it. So here you could find a tests tab, and so here you should attach your script. So we have to start with PM. PM is we use it to write our test. When we say PM dot test and with open and close parenthesis, this method accepts two parameters, and so there we can attach the parameters that you want to run. So the first parameter is the name of your test. That should be descriptive. So the first parameter I'm going to mention, so name of the test. So this is test name. That's what I'm going to give. Test space and then name, and let me put the quote. And another side, yeah, that's it. And the second parameter, so there you have to mention the function, and we have define the function here, and the activity to be done inside the function should be attached later. Okay, so let me attach that function. Yeah, we got it. And open and close parenthesis. So now I have to open my curly braces, and inside that I have to. So the second parameter is a function. If any assertions within the function fails, the test fails. So that's what. So now let's make an assertion. If our assertions throw an error, the test will fail. That's the logic we have to follow. So I'll write PM, and what can I want a response. So I'll give a response object. Okay. So then response dot to dot have dot status. Yes. And what's the status? I want to test it 404. And let me put yeah, that's it. The first test is done. And yes, I think no errors. Let me click. So I'll put the single test. Yeah, that's it. This is one test. Let's run our first test and see what's going to happen. So let me send a request. Let me call an API. Something went wrong while running your scripts, and check Postman console for the more information. So that's what the test result. There was an error in evaluating the test script. Syntax error missing. Close parenthesis after argument list. Okay. Status pm dot response. Okay, got it. So here we are missing a close parenthesis because it started here and it has to be closed with this. Yeah, so now it's done. So no errors at all. Now let's rerun it. And here it is. The test failed. You see that the red color test name. This is the test name, is the name of the test we have given. Assertion error, expected response to have a status code 404 but got 200. That's where the test is failed. So now, because this is what the assertion that we have expected is this, we want to have a 404 status. If we don't get it, the test will fail. The test will fail. So that's what had happened. So we got 200. We got the 200 response. So 404 we did not get it, so that's the reason the test failed. So now I'm going to attach one more test. So let me copy this exactly till okay, yeah, and then paste it here. This is a test 2, and in spite of 404 I'll put 200. 200 I'll put 200, and let me execute. Let me send it and see what's gonna happen. And that's it. You see that the 200 test is passed. It's green color, and the other one got failed because the output of this, the response of this request is, the response code of this request is 200. It's not 404. So let me do some changes here. So I'll put nothing, just empty after equal, and now let's execute. Now let's send it and see what's going to happen. And okay, let me remove this. Yeah, now let me run it. Yes, page equals to 2. Yeah, let me save it first. So then what I'm going to do is I will do a small modification in here. Yeah, so now let me run it. So response could not send a request itself. See that? Because it's not at all working. So because the base URL itself is wrong, so it's not working. So let me do a change in endpoint here. Yeah, let me click on now. Let me send a request now. Okay, that's what it happened. Users. So let me change the name here. This is test name 2. And here is that. So the test name and then test name 2. So both got. Okay, clear? So then, because it's a users, so we got the both. So the names you have to specifically mention the because we have written two tests. So the two test names should be mentioned. Got it? So now let's look into more details. Now we will add tests to gRPC requests. Let's go to the scripts tab in our gRPC request. Let me take this one. Users. I made some modification. Yes. Click on new. Click on gRPC request, test and debug your gRPC request. Here we got the gRPC request and enter the request URL. Select use a protobuf API or import a .proto file, use server reflection. Okay, no protobuf is available. Drag and drop, select .proto file from your local system or user server location. Load methods using server reflection. We'll use the third method, but so we are unable to connect with that also. So we'll continue with the existing HTTP request method only. Okay. So then a few more things we'll be checking here. Writing test scripts. So test. Let me click on tests. Yeah. So test scripts can be dynamic, can use dynamic variables, carry out test assertions on response data, and pass data between requests. In the tests tab for a request, enter your JavaScript manually or select snippets next to the code editor. I'll show you that snippets next to our code editor. Tests execute after the response is received. When you select send, Postman runs your test script after the response data returns from the API. So let's first see from where we can get the snippets. This is the place where you get it. You can see the first it would be a less than symbol. A less than symbol. You click on that less than symbol icon, and then after that it opens a snippets. You can copy this snippets from here, or you just need to click a snippets. Send a request snippet, and after that you can take the status code snippet. This is what we have written. So the name of this is status code is 200 and the function, and the same thing we have mentioned in our, and response body JSON value check. Let's use this also. And what else is there? A response time should be less than 200 milliseconds, so that's also we want to use. And more, let me check. Yeah, use tiny validator for that. Okay, so status code is 200 is absolutely fine, and JSON valid JSON format checkup. And finally, we have test response time is less than 200 milliseconds. So to validate the data returned by a request, you can use the pm.response object. So that's what we are using here. So in some cases, we use to validate that. You see that here to validate, we use the pm.response. You see that pm.response object in a test. So define tests using pm.test function, providing name function that returns a boolean true or false value indicating the test passed or failed. So we use the pm.test here. Basically, if you use this module or object, it takes the boolean value and it shows us whether the test is passed or failed, true or false. And similarly, we can use child.js, BDD syntax, and pm.expect in our assertions to test their response details. So that's what we are doing here. So pm.expect this test the response detail, and pm.response basically use the pm.object in a test. So this looks into the response status of the response, so that kind of thing, whereas pm.expect dwells into the details of the response. So that's where we use pm.expect. So 200 millisecond pm.expect, whereas if you want to validate the status whether it's correct or not, that's a different, that's there we use a response, how fast the response came, but what whether the response so whether the response that we are getting, the time that it took, that for that we use pm.expect. So the first parameter for the dot test function is a text string that will appear in the latest in the test result output. Use this to identify your tests and communicate the purpose of a test to anyone viewing the results. So for example, let's take uh, enter the following test tab in your Postman. A request to test if the response status code is 200 or not. Okay, you write that, and once it is done, so for now I'll remove others. It's not we'll do that because first I want to show you that a response one, and after that we'll do the rest all. So we'll select send to run our request and open test results in the response action. Okay, so it's sent. Let me click on, we got some test results here. Yeah, we got that. We got that. Status code is 200. Let me make it up. Let me bring it up. Yeah, status code is 200. So if the request returned the 200 status code, the test passes. That's why you see that in green. To find out what happens with a different status code, we have to change the expected status code in our test script and run the request again. So let's do that. So let's make it. Let's copy this exactly, and let's paste it here. And I'm gonna say this one 401. So what's gonna happen? Let's check, and let me send it. Fail. The status code is this got failed, and so that's how you can also play around. So by the time I'll move ahead. So formatting test result messages with the pm.expect. So now till now we have seen the response. So now what I'm gonna do is we will work on pm.response. That's what we have worked on. Now we want to format the test result messages using pm.txt, pm.expect. So using the pm.expect syntax gives you test result messages a different format. Experiment with the alternatives to achieve the output you find most useful. So what I'm gonna write here is pm.test. So I want environment. Your code can test the request environment as in the following example. Like if you want to test a specific environment, you have to write pm.txt, and then inside that pm.expect, inside that you have to mention the environment name. But that I'm not going to do now here. So we will do some other tests. Well, okay. So one more test I just want to attach here is basically it formats the test response. So I'll say pm dot test, and open the curly bracket, and inside that the test name response must be valid and have a body. And after that we'll mention the function. So let me open the curly braces here. So inside that I have to attach the assertions pm dot response, then to be okay, and pm dot response and to be with body, to be with body, and pm dot response to be JSON, and let's execute. So your scripts can include however many tests you need uh, that will save along with the rest of your request detail when you select save. If you share collection, publish documentation, or use the run in Postman button, your test code will be included for anyone who views or imports your templates. Okay, so here you can see I have attached this and I got the response pass. Response must be valid and have a body, and it has a body. Response is valid, it's okay, it has a body, and then JSON. Okay, let me show the body, and this is the body, and the body is in JSON format, and it's okay. You got that? The response is okay, and then it has a body, and it's a JSON format. Everything is done, all successful. So that's the reason. Let me click on test results. So three tests are there, out of which two are passed, two are being passed, and one being failed. So first one is pass and then pass the second one. This test is also passed. Okay, this is how you can format your test results using pm.expect. So it makes a more human readable, it makes much human readable than a simple test. So now let's look into how to use a snippets here. So we can use a curated list of commonly used test code snippets to write your tests. So snippets are available here in the right pane that I have kept open. Right pane of the script editor, selecting a snippet, just clicking on a snippet adds the required code automatically to your script. So it helping you get started quickly with your testing. Once added in your script, you can edit the snippets to meet your specific testing requirements. So let me select few more snippets from here. Let me bring it down a bit. This one. Yep, it's fine. Now let me scroll down more. Yeah. Use tiny validator for JSON data. Let me click on this. Yeah. This one, a response must be valid and have a body. And similar kind of example. Yeah. That's what the response must be valid and have a body. That's one. And second one is schema is valid. It's going to check the schema of that. Okay. And data one. Let me send and see what's going to happen. Yeah, we got 4 out of 4, 2 got failed. So the last one, schema is valid. That one has been failed. Response must be valid and have a body. So schema is not the proper schema. Okay, schema is not, it's not the proper way. Okay, so then we'll look into one more. response body convert XML body to a JSON object. Here we do not have an XML, so I'm not going to go with. So status code, let me click on status code also now. Where's that? The status code, let me look into that. PM test schema, where response status code name string. Yeah, here it is. So let me, yeah. Okay, so now let me attach the, let me close this here. Done. Now let me attach this status code. Yeah, you got the function here. Test case test, and name of this is status code name has string, and then function inside the assertion is it's gonna find out the response and it's gonna check the status whether the status is created or not. Let me send it, and so out of 4, so just yeah. So status code name has string assertion expected a response to have status reason created but got okay. Okay. So then one more status code successful post request response. Let me click on this response. Let me add one more test case. Let me click on a response successful. Okay, response time is less than 200 milliseconds. Okay, that's what we are expecting, and let's see what's gonna happen, whether it will be successful or failure. So we got the response within 101 milliseconds, so obviously it should be a success. Okay, total 5 tests we have done. Out of that, 3 tests are successful. That means the response time is also successful. Yes, response time is less than 200 milliseconds. Let me scroll up and see a few more tests. Response time, response headers, content type, header check, and a few more. Response body, content string, status code is 200. Absolutely fine. All are okay. So we have checked enough. So finally we'll close this with the response header. You just want to cross check whether you are receiving the proper response header or not. So let me remove this stats code as a name string. Yeah, this one. Okay. And stats code 401. So this also I'm gonna remove. So now let me attach one more, yeah, content one, header content. So this checks the headers and whether headers has this content type or not. So now let me run it and see what's going to happen. So 3 tests and 3 have been passed. So status code is 200, absolutely correct. Response must be valid and have a body. It has, you can see that body. Yeah, it has the body and it has a format. And what else, what else you want? It has it's okay, the status code is also okay, and content type is also present, so absolutely fine. So let me show that headers. You can see that the headers content encoding null. This is a response header, this is not a request headers, and here is the content type, application JSON char set UTF-8. So that's all about testing a request. But we can do the same for a collection. You can test collection and you can test folders also. You can add test scripts to a collection, a folder, or a single request within a collection. A test script associated with the collection will run after every request in the collection. A test script associated with the folder will run after every direct child request in the folder. So I will differentiate. I'll make a clear cut distinction between the testing collections and testing folders. The first one is testing collections. You can add test scripts to a collection folder or a single request within the collection. Clear? A single folder, a single request. Either you can you can add a test scripts to a collection one, or you can add a folder, or you can add a test script to a single request within a collection also. Now, what's the difference between a folder and a collection in with respect to the script, a test script? A test script also associated with a collection will run after every request in the collection. A test script associated with a folder will run after every direct child request in the folder. So then only it will run. So this enables you to reuse commonly executed tests after requests. So the execution order for each request will be collected tests, collection tests, folder tests, and then request tests. So adding scripts to collections and folders enable you to test the workflows in your API project. So this helps you to ensure that your requests cover typical scenarios, providing a reliable experience for application users. So we can update collection and folder scripts by selecting the view more actions icon. So next to the collection zone, now let me get into that. So SOAPs API, let me scroll over and click on view more actions, and inside that click edit and then choose the test tab to add or update your script. So we can also add collection scripts when you first create a collection. That's either way you can do that. So what will we do? First we'll attach the test scripts. So here you can see that, and these are the collection details. So now let me attach the snippets one by one. So get a collection variable. Okay, set okay, let me add one more thing. Send a request. Let me scroll over down. Okay, yeah, now this one I don't want. Okay, so let me add send a request first. Okay, now let me close this, the collection details, so I'll get enough space. Then I'm gonna add the second one, status code. Yes, then a response body contains a string. Then I don't think this will contain a string. Then content type header. Okay, so these are the tests. So I want to run. When you run a collection, the collection runner displays the test results, including the response time in milliseconds and details about whether a specific request in the collection passed or failed test. So let me run it now. Let's see. So let me click on this run. So I'll go with the manual procedure. So run a SOAP API, neither schedule nor automating the runs via CLI. So all are being run, and so so no problem. Everybody is getting 200. Okay, so all fine. But the thing is, let's click on passed, failed, and skipped. Let me click on all tests. So by and large, all tests are successful only. So no problem with here. So let me click on view summary. Fine. Yeah, these are the tests that we have mentioned, and let me, yes, and you can run this API, and you can do the tests cumulatively to all APIs once they are done. So let me run it again. So run it now. Yes, it's the test started here. So for each request, it's doing the tests. So two by one, two by one, two by one, two by one. So let me click on view results. Okay, this is fantastic view for us so that we can have a clear cut. So one iteration, total tests done are 57, not 57. So what all are happening? So status code is passed because 200k okay is absolutely fine. Then body matches a string. Is there any string inside that? Nothing. So that's why it got failed. Then content type is present or not. It will be presented. So that's why we got the successful. Similarly, by and large, we got the tests, and with one attachment of a test in the collection, we are able to do 57 tests. We are able to do tests to all requests which are part of that collection. So that's the magic, that's the power of tests in or testing collection wise or folder wise. So now let's do debugging. I think it's clear. No? You see that? All the tests, everything, almost all are done. All are done. Pass, fail. You can clearly see that. And let me click on view summary. Yeah, this is another best view. So one iteration, I will do one more iteration now, run again, and see what's going to happen. So what I'll do this time, okay, I'll stop. Okay, once it is done, I'll stop run and I'll rerun it. So let me stop it. Let me automate the run, schedule, run, integrate with CI/CD. So I'm not gonna do all those things now. Anyway, I want to have 5 runs at least. Okay, schedule run. So this is to run tests. So then I'll select every hour. Anyway, we'll be doing uh, I'll go for the 10 iterations. That's fine. And rest all will keep it same. Nothing to be touched. Let's wait. Service definition, view all schedules. Okay, first run is scheduled for 8 o'clock. I can't wait till then. I'll run it manually. Started. This is our first scheduled run. It's taking some time. Let's wait for that. Of course, the tests were also added to this. So once the response has come, so then the testing starts. What are the scripts that we have mentioned all will be executed. So it's 7:35 and it's still running. You see that it's still running. This is our tooltip. Let's wait for a few seconds. Okay, this got failed person 33% and the response time is 27.29 seconds. Why? Because we have attached the results or tests, so because of that it got failed. So now the failed percentage is 33%. That means out of 3 tests, 1 test has been failed, 2 were successful. So let me click on this is unhealthy because of they have run tests and there is a failures, and here is that uh, all whatever has run all. So these are all iterations which are all tests. These are all tests and these are all past tests and these are all failed tests. You see that these are all failed tests and skipped ones. I think there are no skipped ones. So now to debug your tests, you have to come to the console log. So if you are having trouble with your tests, then click on this console log and look into the console log. So check if there are any errors in your script. A red badge will highlight scripts with errors. You can also check the response section for specific errors. And you'll get the complete information here. So debug your tests using log statements to ensure that you are asserting on correct data. We have huge amount of logs here. Anyway, I'll scroll up and I will run it. Yeah, run it again. So it's taking more time. Run it again. Run it again. Run it again. I'll keep it at least a few times. and let's wait for the results. What's going to happen? So these are very much important. You have reached the usage limit for scheduled. Okay, that's fine. So you run it, the existing. So some are successful, some are failure. So that's the reason. See, this is 33 percentage failed, and this one is 33 percentage. But the response time here is 27 seconds. It took a lot of time, but this one has come up within 21 seconds. That's 22 seconds. And this one is taking more time. But that's how, yeah, it took more time, 24.26 seconds. At least it should take less time. Okay, this one is completed. This took just 23.89 seconds. And I'm waiting for others to come. Yeah, brilliant. The second one took the least time. That's 21.99 seconds, whereas the rest all took a lot of time. However, you can just come here, scroll down more, and then you can click on your filters to find out the how many successful. So there is nothing, all are failed because of the number of tests that we have used. Okay, so let me click on scroll down and click on run on the graph to see about details. So, and that's all. Here is that total 190 failed tests and 0 errors. Let me scroll down more. Let me do it more a bit. Let me, yeah. Yes. So total these many tests, all tests. These are all passed ones, and these are all failed ones, and here are the skipped ones. However, fortunately, it did not skip even a single test, either pass or fail. It's that clear. So that's all about our tests. Postman or testing the Postman API.